This program is brought to you by Training Tilt. Training Tilt is a complete toolkit for coaches, health and fitness professionals, and nutritionists. Combine your website, e-commerce needs, client communications, and training plans into a single affordable platform. For more information, please go to www.lisatamati.co.nz/training tilt.
Welcome to Pushing the Limits, the podcast that gets deep into the psyche of extraordinary achievers across all genres, cutting to the chase to unlock the secrets of their success, their achievement, philosophies, and motivations. Join us in the quest to find out what makes the movers and shakers of our world tick and what gems of wisdom we can learn from them.
Well, hi everybody, it's Lisa Tamati here again at Pushing the Limits. Today I'm doing another little solo cast for you, and today it's around the themes of a winning mindset. What does it take to be a winner in your mind and therefore in your life? So let's look at some of the principles that I think are involved in having a really good, strong mindset that will take you places. One of the main things that I think that you need to develop is mental toughness, and I talk about this often, mental strength and being able to fight through barriers. And there's one sort of idea around this mental toughness that I wanted to share with you today, and it's not about being physically tough and, macho and stuff. What I'm talking about is really a character trait of being able to fight through obstacles, overcome dramas and crises, and to be able to pick yourself up and carry on regardless of your situation and what's happened to you. One of the things that I've discovered when I was doing ultramarathon running, and I could be in some deep, dark place in my head and really, really struggling with something and fighting through the pain, the exhaustion. I'd sometimes think that I'm at the absolute end of my tether and I've got nothing more left. And then I might come across somebody who else is out there and who's running, and they might be in even worse shape than I am. And in that moment, I go, oh, I've got to help this person, right? Natural thing to want to help someone else who's in deep, deep trouble. And when you actually go and you help and you're focused on someone else, you no longer have that ego of that self and the pity party that's going on in your head often about, oh, poor me, and how am I going to do this, and everything's hurting, and, this is hurting and that's hurting. Instead, you're focused on, oh my gosh, this person's in real trouble. I need to do whatever I need to help them, to get them through. I need to talk to them. I need to help them physically. I need to be aware for them. I need to help them. And in doing that, you end up pulling out of yourself far more than what you ever thought you were capable of. And actually, the suffering within you is often much diminished, at least, if not completely gone, because you're getting actually an energetic exchange. It sounds crazy, but you're putting energy into somebody else, and what's actually happening is that you feel better about yourself, and you're feeling better, and you find reserves, because often we can't find reserves, when we're digging really deep, when it's only for our own ego or when it's only for our own purpose. But when you actually have to dig deep on behalf of somebody, that can pull out resources that you're unaware that you actually have, and can get you through to a rough patch, And this would go on in ultramarathon races all the time, where you're helping them, and then maybe 3 hours later, 2 hours later, the tables are turned and they're helping you. And together you fight through a whole lot more than perhaps what you could have done on your own. So that's just a little, one sort of trick around mental toughness. Stop focusing on yourself. Do something for somebody else, and you might find that helps make you stronger. The next sort of issue I wanted to look around is that, we're far more capable of more than we can possibly imagine. I've seen this time and again in others and in myself, in business and in sport, that we're capable of far more than we ever thought we could do, and sometimes I think this is 10 times more than what we thought we could do. But how do you tap into that state where you can actually draw more out of yourself. Well, let's start looking at a few character traits that I think are really important to have a really winning mindset. And the first one is passion. You have to be passionate about whatever it is, that the goal that you are setting out to do, the race, the challenge, the business, whatever it is. If you don't have passion and actual emotion around this goal, then you're really, really going to struggle, okay? So it's understanding that desire within you about why are you wanting to do this? What is your why? You've heard me talk about that before. What is your why? Understanding why you are here and why you want this goal. And you have to have a really strong reason. If you have a wishy-washy reason, if I'm, coaching someone and they go, I'd sort of like to run a marathon, but, I don't know how it'll go, but I'll give it a whirl, give me a training plan and we'll see how it goes. I know just from listening to that person, they're never going to get there because they don't have that, I really want to do this goal. I really want it and I'm prepared to go through whatever it takes to get there. So we're talking about here the passion, the emotional buy-in, the engagement, and total and utter commitment. If you don't have that utter commitment to a project, you're always going to give yourself a back door out, a way out when things get tough. And when you start negotiating in your head about, well, I won't go through it if this happens and I won't carry on if that happens, then you're already giving yourself excuses not to make it. So you have to have a total and utter commitment to the goals that you set out to do. And these goals should really be in alignment of what the hell you are here to do on earth, So this moves on to the second phase about, okay, you've asked yourself why you want to do this, what your drivers are, what your motivating factors are. The next one is really to look at the purpose. What is the result that you're wanting to achieve out of doing this goal? Is it part of a bigger picture? Is it part of something that you want to become? What is your purpose? Understanding the reasons behind your motivation. So this taps into things around self-awareness, being really aware of who you are, where you are right now, where you want to get to, and then navigating a plan, having a plan to sort of cross that gap from where you are now to where you want to be. And to do that, you have to have the why, the passion, the reason, and then you also have to know what is the result that you're trying to achieve here and that you're trying to get to. If you can start to answer and have some really deep conversations with yourself, some self-reflection time, and this isn't always done in 5 minutes, but when you do this, you can cause a shift in your identity about who you are and what you're wanting to achieve, and you can understand your purpose so that when the tough times come, and they will come, and any big lofty goals that you might want to tackle, there are going to be hard times when you're going to have to overcome massive obstacles. So for those times when those obstacles start coming at you, when the people keep telling you you're not going to make it, or whatever it is that you're starting to doubt, you have to understand why you're there, what you're passionate about, what your motivating forces are, and be really clear about that in your mind. And then you have to understand how you work, what motivates you. And this brings me to the topic of self-talk, okay? So you have to have a really positive mindset in order to overcome huge obstacles and problems and face challenges. If you have got a mindset that is always talking down to yourself and always saying, oh, you're hopeless, you're useless, you're never going to make it, and berating yourself every 5 minutes for not achieving something or not reaching this goal, if you have that sort of self-talk going in the background of your mind, it will inevitably hijack you and you won't make your goals. So start listening to the thoughts throughout the day. Whenever you stop and do something, every time you go and have a drink, or every time you sit down, or you're in a queue waiting at the supermarket or whatever, just check in with yourself. What sort of thoughts are running through your head, and are they positive self-talk thoughts or are they negative? And if they're negative, you've got to chop them off at the knees and reprogram yourself And one of the ways of doing this is bringing in gratitude. You know, when you start to be grateful for what you've got, instead of being in the negative frame of mind about, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that, no, woe is me and poor am I, and oh, bloody hopeless and I'm never going to do it. Those sort of thoughts are just spiraling you down. If you can turn it around into a positive self-talk and being grateful for the good things that you've got, the wonderful things in your life that you've got, and use them to power yourself forward and talk to yourself. So this self-talk thing, you know, once again, going back to ultra marathons and being in dire situation and expeditions and races, I know when my mind starts to tell me negative stuff, then I really have got a battle on my hands, and I have to really fight that negative self-talk. And it's like, you know, negotiating with a beast inside your head that's, you know, and it's a constant battle, I'll give you that. But the thing is, you have to be able to do that. You have to fight against that negativity and that down talk, and also surround yourself, of course, with people who are going to build you up and who are going to help you get there, who are going to help you achieve the goals that you want and not going to pull you down. So we've covered there, you know, desire, passion, what your purpose is and why you want to do this and what you're prepared to go for. We've talked about total commitment, not leaving yourself a back door out. Last week I talked on the show about accountability, so you can use some of the principles there to help you get through. The next one is around your own values, and this is a bit of deep work, okay? I want you to do some self-reflection on who you are, what you believe in, what your values are, and what you stand for. Because if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything. That's the, you know, the saying goes. But if you have really strong principles, you know, like for me, I really want to make a difference in the world. You know, I do everything in my businesses, in my work, in my coaching, and whatever I do. Yes, I want to make a living and a livelihood, but much more important than that is that I want to have a massive and huge impact on the world. I want to change lives for the better. I want to build people up, and so I have to align my values and principles with my mission in life. You know, I have to have things that I will stand for and that will never waver. I will never be pushed over on certain topics. That's my bottom line. And others, you know, you have to work out, what are your core values? Are you wanting to make a difference in the world? Are you wanting to stand for integrity and honesty and passion and be a force for good in the world? What is it that really moves you? Decide on those factors that, you know, where you won't shift no matter what winds come at you, no matter what temptations come at you, that you will not budge from. So understanding those values and those core principles that you're not going to be swapped, you know, not going to be pushed over on. You know, for me, one of them, I know that life, you know, the older I get, the more I realise that life is so short and I have so little time left to impact the world and make a difference in the world. And I want to make sure I use that time for good, and I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. And it's, you know, always striving for more. But it sets me in a frame of mind of I want to learn. So any project that I take on or any challenge that I'm facing, whether it's like recently, you know, dealing with some health issues, you know, I go like super deep into the research. I don't just leave it up to, oh, I'm going to the doctor and wait for a pill to fix me or whatever, and then realizing it doesn't. It's digging deep. It's doing the hard work. It's becoming more and more educated on the topics that you want to. So if you have this attitude, in other words, of I'm always a student, I'm always humble, and I'm always willing to sit at the feet of a master and learn. I'm always willing to take on other people's expertise, whatever they want to share with me. I say not the rubbish, you know, obviously you're going to have to pick and choose who your leaders and your teachers are. But if you can find experts in the field that you want to learn about and then dig really deep, read, research, learn, become an expert, never be out of that phase of learning. Don't go, well, my school days are over and I'm done. If you do that, you become rigid in the way you think and you become very, black and white, and this is right and that's wrong, and the world doesn't change, and you can become rigid in your thinking. You can become really calcified, if you like, and narrow-minded, and very set in your ways, and you stay in your comfort zone where you know that, hey, I'm good at this, so I'm going to stick to that game, instead of challenging yourself in new ways constantly. And when you do this and you educate yourself, then you can learn anything, and you realize your capabilities lie far beyond what you thought you could. You can become an expert in anything. Like we've got we live in the most amazing time where we have access to the most incredible people, so use that. All right. So what else have I got to think? I've gotten a little bit off stray of my preparation here. I'm not the best at preparing, but I'm working on that. It's a skill that I'm working on. So I want you to go out and set some goals that align with your purpose, that align with where your bigger reason for being is, if you like. These goals should be specific. They should be measurable. You would have heard these words. They should be achievable. They should be realistic, and they should be time bound. Okay, that's what having goals is all about, so that you can have measurements to see how you're going with your goals. And it's really, really important that you constantly look at your goals, assess, are you on track, understanding where you are at the moment, and this is the path that you're on, and having an honest assessment regularly about where you are. And when you have a plan in place and you set a goal and you set some actionable steps, and you start walking in this plan, and then something goes wrong, you have to be flexible in the face of that. You have to understand that every plan is going to turn to custard somewhere, but if you have no plan, you won't even get anywhere. So have a plan, understand that it might change, your goals might change, your values might be changing, your opportunities may be coming at you, so you have to adjust, but just try and keep it moving in the right direction, and keeping it simple, and planning ahead and trying to find out, what is the next step. So I've covered, I think, an awful lot really in 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it was, and I've gone a little bit off track, but it's all about winning in your mind first. Make sure you talk to yourself in a positive voice always. If you don't know something, doesn't mean that you can't learn it and become better at it. Understand your why, understand what motivates you, why you want to achieve something, and what the purpose is for these goals. What is the result that you're after? What are you motivated by? Start to look then at your principles. What are your core values in life? And this is really for people that want to achieve greatness in life and want a winning mindset and want to be able to do things and hold themselves accountable and have the discipline to fight through tough times. We talked about mental toughness and being resilient, and how sometimes by helping other people, getting outside of your own ego, you actually can end up pushing through barriers in your own physical and mental abilities and overcoming a whole lot more things. Take for example that analogy that I gave you with ultra marathon running, how when I go and help my mate who's flailing and really in deep trouble, suddenly I feel better, and I get energy reserves from I don't know where, because it's about someone else. Okay guys, thank you very much for listening to me. Sorry if that came out a little bit garbled, but it's some really important principles there, and I hope you can glean some words of wisdom, and we'll see you again next week. Take this opportunity to tell you about my new e-course, The Path of an Athlete, that I just launched recently. This is all about how to develop mental strength, resilience and tenacity, learning how to overcome the barriers to reaching your full potential and stop those limiting beliefs that have held you back. Whether it be in your personal life, your career or in your sporting goals, you can control the outcome of your life. For more information, please go to www.lisatamati.co.nz/e-course.